Okay. We're not, we can't trust we do one more couple.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to do the Kriya.
We can do the Kriya before they get here because they don't.
Ceremonially, this is our
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the video. And what I would suggest, that's your aunt, sitting, right?
Yeah.
So we'll
For
see,
child,
but
this goes
we
over
should
your
probably
heart.
gather near her to do it, so she doesn't
This
have to
goes
get
on
up.
your left-hand
Right,
side.
that makes sense to you?
Your sister would get one of these if she was
Yeah.
here.
BJ, you've got one, you've got one?
We're gonna start with the honor guard.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And it's going over your left, on your heart.
Right over your heart. Okay.
Right, so what I think that means, I hope I'm
Okay,
saying the
Beach,
same
can
thing
I
as
let
you,
you go
is
now?
that after we do the Kriya, then we'll process the casket here. Once the casket's
Is
here,
there,
we'll
is
do
there a ceremony going
honor guard. Is that what you're saying? Are we saying the same thing?
Whenever I think it is.
Okay. Yeah, wait, I'm sorry.
Are we saying the same thing?
Yeah. The cemetery now carries the casket. They don't want to.
Right.
They'll put the casket on here.
Exactly.
If you want to start with Kriya, you can.
So, just the reverse order, I would like to do Kriya.
Yeah.
Then the cemetery with us following, we'll put the casket, we'll say the prayers as we do it, and then the honor guard can do their thing.
Okay.
And then,
the next stop.
yeah, we're going to do three.
I'm going to give you a program. There you go. Thank you. You're welcome.
So if I could gather the siblings, obviously 6 feet apart with your aunts,
6 feet apart, everybody.
if you can, or whoever you're social distancing from. I will stay 6 feet apart.
Mark Sherman can come stand next to me. Oh, it's just the siblings, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody else can witness, of course. You're all invited to be a part of it. I just want to make sure I get the siblings in my eyesight, and you all have your ribbons or whatever you're tearing.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to make a tear in your ribbon. If you need this, can somebody help?
Aunt Lita,
Aunt Lita, I mean, can you do it yourself?
do we just do it?
Find it.
Yeah, you rip it.
You got it in, Lee?
On this side. It works better on this side.
Yeah, you just
If you
tear
can-
up.
Take the two corners and pull one up.
Too much arthritis.
Yeah, I know.
Can I help you? Can I help?
That's up to you.
The
I mean,
two bottom
Is it okay
corners,
if I
please.
get close enough to help you to do?
You've done this a million times. You can stand next to Jackie.
I am.
Yeah, just don't stand there.
Sure, open the.
I wouldn't dare.
You're not doing any better than I did.
Okay.
Tough ribbon, huh?
Tough ribbon.
Did you do it, Andrew J?
Nope.
You're gonna.
Ceremonially, I did.
All
Does
right.
it rip?
Oh, it wouldn't rip?
I wouldn't
I
rip.
could do it.
Here.
There you go.
All right, so you're going to
You've done
repeat
this
after
before.
me. It's just a simple bracha formula with 2 words at the end. Baruch atah
Adonai,
Eloheinu
Eloheinu, Melech HaOlam,
Dayan
Dayan,
Ha'emet.
HaEmet.
Amen.
Amen.
And then you can repeat after me in English. Praised are you,
Praised are you,
O Lord our God,
O Lord our God,
King of the universe,
King of the universe,
who is
who is
the righteous judge.
the righteous judge.
Amen.
Amen.
I say to you, Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Enoi Mevarach. The Lord gives, and very sadly in this case, the Lord takes. Through it all, we hope and rely on the presence of God, and we praise God. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So whenever the clock strikes 1 and the assembled are ready to begin, we can begin. I'm not.
It's
We're just gonna
12:57.
12:57. So in 3 minutes, we'll begin the formal service.
There's already 23 people logged in, plus however many people are watching with them.
I have zebra stripe on text.
Have name tags on. This is who I am.
That's the one.
And the
That's,
smiley.
honest to God, I have it. I'll scan it and send it to you. It came to my dad's office by fax about 25 years ago. I must have drawn that earlier.
No, that's from the 50s.
That's from the 50s?
Yeah.
That's
Not earlier, but I think 50. I don't think it's dated though.
What, the zebra?
My dad got it as a joke by fax in the 90s, and I found it in an old file I was digging out the other day.
It's so clever. It's so clever.
So here it is on the way people are seeing it right now.
Is the person in the middle a relative or a rabbi?
It's a figment of his, he imagined all of these people. Oh, wait a second.
No, that was Nathan's teacher.
No, that was Nathan.
the rabbi who taught.
The middle guy?
Oh.
That's Sam. That's the rabbi who taught
Nathan, Margie's father, in Russia when he was 13 in 1910.
So what do you think, guys?
And then he took a picture.
How's the resemblance?
A few more years, you might have the same
Here.
color.
your band, the rabbi.
It's the beard match.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
And then when they were in Israel, years later, Grandpa Nathan reconnected with them.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
that's when he did that's when Lonnie did the picture.
He took a photo of him in.
Rabbi, they're gonna be bringing the casket out.
Okay.
Chance on the microphone.
Yeah, you can chant from the microphone. That would be lovely.
So three
folks,
stops, Rabbi?
We stopped 3 times. It could be 7 or 3, but we're so close. We'll do 3 to represent that we're not eager to do the task at hand, that this is an honor procession and not something that we're going to do quickly. So Kazan will chant from the microphone the prayers, and you can either take a step back or you can follow after the casket at 6 feet.
יושב בסתר עליון בצל שדי, התלונן אמר לאדוני מחזיר מצודתי אלוהי אבטח בו, כי הוא יצילך מפח יכוש מדבר אבות, בעברתו יסך לך ותחת כנפיו תכסה צינה וסוחר עמיתו. לא תירא מפחד לילה מחציה ופיומם, מדבר באופל יהלוך, מכתב ישות צהריים, יפול מצדך 1000 ורבבה מימינך אליך לא ייגש. רק בעיניך תביט ושילום עד רשעים תראה, כי אתה אדוני מחסי עליון שמת מעונך, לא תענה אליך רע ונגע לא יקרב באוהלך, כי מלאכיו יצווה לך לשמורך בכל דרכיך, על כפיים ישאונך פן תגוף באבן רגליך, על שחל ופתן תדרוך, תרמוס כפיר ותנין, כי בי חשק ואפלתהו עשה גבהו, כי ידע שמי יקראני והנהו עמו אנוכי בצרה אחלצהו ואכבדהו, אורך ימים אשביעהו ויראהו בישועתי, אורך ימים אשביעהו ויראהו בישועתי.
United States Army and the grateful nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your most honorable and faithful service. Condolences to you and your family for your loss.
As we begin the service for Leonard Birnbaum, I wanted to make sure I had this beautiful face shining on me, looking at me from the desk where I'm putting my papers. And as we all try to remember him, well, we have a smile on our face with a smile, and also him with a smile as well. We're going to begin the service with the chanting of a psalm, and I'll translate it and do a couple further readings.
Could play for the Sox with an arm like that. Adonai ro'i lo echsar bine od sheyarbiteni al menuchot nafshi yeshovev yeshovev yanecheni b'maglei tzedek yanecheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo Kam ki eilech begeitz al mavet lo irara ki ata imadi shiftecha umishanetecha hema yenachamuni Taroch lefanai shulchan neged zorerai dishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya Chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti beveit Adonai leyorech yamim Adonai ro'i lo echsar.
Translation of Psalm 23. If you'd like to recite it with me, it's inside the paper that you were given, and you can recite it along with me in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And that is truly what is in our hearts, that the soul of Leonard Birnbaum dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and that his legacy be preserved in our hearts and in the memories we share from generation to generation. In knowing Leonard and speaking to the family, one of the most endearing of his characteristics and traits was his integrity and his dignity. And I'm going to recite Psalm 15, which speaks about a person of integrity. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi'agor bo'alech, ha'mishkon b'har kodshecha, holech tamim u'foel tzedek, v'dover emet bilvavo, lo ragal al lishono, lo asal reu ra'a v'cherpa, lo nasal krovo, nivzeh beinav nim'as, v'tirei Adonai yechabed, nishba l'ra v'lo yamir, kaspo lo natan b'neshech, v'shok adana kilo lakach, osei lo yimotz le'olam. Do we deserve to enter into God's sanctuary? Can we merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity. Do what is right. Speak the truth without deceit. Have no slander on your tongue. Do no evil to others. Do not mistreat your neighbor. Spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere God. Never retract a promise once made, though it may bring you personal harm. Lend no money at unfair rates, accept no bribe against the innocent. Make these deeds your own, then you shall stand firm forever. Amen. The great philosopher Ben Sira wrote, when parents who have taught their children pass on, that passing is not a death. As long as the child lives, and all the more so in this case, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, then that parent can never truly die. When alive, a parent rejoices in their children, and in death, that parent will not grieve, for he knows that his legacy has been passed down the dor vador from generation to generation. Len was also truly a leader in our community, and another philosophical quote from Ben Sira about our leaders I think applies to him. Let us now praise distinguished leaders, those who came before us. They are a great glory to God who created them. Their lives proclaim God's majesty. They were honored in their generation and were a source of pride in their times. Some of them have left a name so that all declare their praise. People will recall and recount their wisdom, and the congregation and all of the people will sing their praise. Amen. I'm now going to ask Mark to come up and say some words, and then afterwards I'll be privileged to say a few words as well.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome, Mark.
First, thank you all and those watching us online for your love for close family and decades-long friendships. And thank you for joining us in our current challenged reality digitally, knowing our preference to embrace every one of you as we celebrate this remarkable 95-year life. Leonard Victor Birnbaum, Dad, Zadie Eliezer Ben Yosef, was born November 26, 1924. He didn't know he grew up in a depression. He didn't consider himself poor. He did grow up in a humble, loving home with his sister, our Aunt Lita, with whom we mourn today. He showed extraordinary artistic talent very early, requiring serious family drama to be overcome. His mother, Josephine, recognizing his gifts, enrolled him in Saturday morning classes at Chicago's Art Institute. Drama ensued when Dad's grandmother, Etta, objected to weekly Saturday morning classes conflicting with Shabbat. Thankfully, Grandma Josephine won. Len was bar mitzvah and became quite the Hebrew scholar anyway. He distinguished himself as a Boy Scout, achieving the elite rank of Eagle, which less than 4% of scouts ever attain. He didn't talk much about that, but was very proud of the accomplishment. Grandpa Joe and Dad's uncles operated a neighborhood drugstore, which after Prohibition also sold liquor. Dad was a bicycle delivery boy packing more than aspirin, cough syrup, and prescriptions. He also delivered a neighborhood newspaper. Dad met Mom at Von Steuben High School in Albany Park. He was 16 and she 15, introduced by biology teacher Miss Zezba. Margie was trying to illustrate an underwater life scene for a biology paper, frustrated in not achieving the perfection she always sought. Len was painting an upcoming school dance wall mural. Miss Zezba asked and Len quickly solved Margie's art challenge, and a 76-year passionate romantic love affair began, starting with a collaboration in art and evolving from high school sweethearts to an exquisite blend of creative talent. When we think about their love shared across 3/4 of a century, we remember them holding hands, the nightly embrace when Dad got home, and a distinctive 3-note whistle often shared. Who's the best whistler? Not very good. They did it a lot better. When exchanging cards rather than a written expression of love and signing of names, there was always a musical scale drawing of the 3 notes of the whistle on the card, and we knew the meaning, and they taught us unconditional love. Dad was our hero in many ways, not least of which was the 3 full years in the Army surviving the South Pacific, the jungles of New Guinea, the Philippine and Indonesian islands, exotic places like Tsili Tsili, Biak, Wewak, Papua, Leyte, Luzon, and Lingayen Gulf, and among the last surviving World War II vets. About 260,000 remain out of more than 16 million Americans who served in uniform during World War II. He was among the last 1 2/3%. That is according to National World War II Museum statistics. The last of the World War II veteran generation will pass this decade, and with every passing, direct memories of sights, sounds, smells, tastes, terrors, triumphs, horrors, nightmares, heroism, victories, defeats, death, and emotional homecomings are lost forever, and Dad had many. Pearl Harbor was 11 days after his 17th birthday. He enlisted on his 18th. In November 1942, he trained and was in the thick of the South Pacific by spring 1943. His 871st Army Airborne Engineers were tasked with building and maintaining runways and infrastructure to support pilots, planes, parts, and mechanics, and he was the kid of the outfit. In the 1950s, when we asked about the war, which we did all the time, there were light, funny remembrances and personalities, never near the life-threatening peril and horrors of his real stories as a skinny 18-year-old under fire on the other side of the world. Standard for what Tom Brokaw termed the greatest generation. Dad started to open up about the real experience in his 70s and ultimately wrote a brief narrative about them. And when we worked with the VA on benefits, those stories were necessary. And we found specific corroborating reference to several online, matching details of timing, places, people, and his recollections. One of the more chilling questions asked by the VA administrator was this: did he ever fire a weapon at the enemy, or was he fired upon by the enemy? And the answer to both questions was yes. He contracted malaria in his service in the jungle and suffered several relapses during the 1950s. 3 years of the equator's sun left a lifetime of melanoma skin cancers with which to deal, the last one just a few months ago. No one knew then about PTSD. What we did know was that our dad had a tough time with 4th of July fireworks in the 1950s. As an artist, he had a little side cash business with the pilots in the personalization of their planes. And I say personalization with quotes. There are photographs of his craft, some of which I was not allowed to see, but snuck in and found anyway. Sorry, Dad. And thanks for the early education. Among the things that sustained him was a constant stream of letters and photos from his Margie. He returned home late December 1945. Lenny and Margie were married November 24, 1946, at the Covenant Club in Chicago, 2 days before his 22nd birthday. Some birthday gift. Speaking of gifts, I arrived in 1948, Holly in 1950, Andy in 1954, and we'll talk about Best Joe's later arrival in a moment. Dad took his art talent to the advertising profession, first working freelance for commercial art studios and then establishing his own, creatively naming it Mark Hollis Studios, contracting with busy ad agencies needing to outsource work. A client agency brought him on board full-time, where he became art director, and from there built a long and successful career in advertising and design. Among many clients was underwear manufacturer Munsingwear, just branching into golf shirts. Dad developed the Penguin logo, popularizing the brand. Sales reached market leadership by the late 50s, and the Penguin brand products are still at retail and online. In 1955, we left our Rogers Park home and moved to Highland Park, an astonishing move for a family of city folk like ours. We joined a very young Congregation Bethel, and it became our second home. Dad contributed to a variety of committees and became president of the Men's Club. He worked with Ludwig Wolpert in New York in the finishing touches in the Field Family Sanctuary, with Arc Doors, Menorah, and Ner Tamid completed and installed for High Holidays 1967, just in time for Andy's birthday, Andy's bar mitzvah, and his birthday. One of Dad's custom hand calligraphed contributions is the scrolled presentation of weekly Torah parshas just outside the sanctuary in the wood case before entering Bethel's most sacred space. Developed as a successful fundraiser. He enjoyed applying his artistic talent at Bethel with intricate calligraphed ketubas and congregation service certificates. He painted through most of his life, watercolors when younger and oils later in life, showing and selling his creations from the Gold Coast to North Shore, including many Bethel art shows over the years. Another gift arrived in 1965 with our sister Best Joe. Holly and I were in high school, Andy in junior high, astonished and impressed at this wonderful love accomplishment in their elderly early 40s. One of us, perhaps a little disrespectful, inquired, and I can't recall who, "You guys still do it?" Mom and Dad were always proud of our accomplishments and those of the grandchildren and now great-grandchildren, attending graduations, B'nai Mitzvot, and weddings, beaming and tearing as the milestones and memories piled up. They traveled extensively, Europe, Israel, Australia, and New Zealand. Dad became a prolific horticulturist, complete with a fully functioning year-round greenhouse where spring always meant an explosion of color and fragrance beyond the array of indoor foliage he maintained throughout the winter. He kept in shape playing tennis and golf well into his 80s. In 2014, I accompanied him traveling to Washington on an honor flight, an organization dedicated to paying tribute to veterans with particular focus on World War II. On the trip, he and his brother vets toured and viewed the historic monuments. What was remarkable, even powerful, was the organization of cheers, applause, and expressions of thank you for your service everywhere that this group of wonderful, emotional veterans went. And Dad was touched by it all. He told me with a big smile, "I didn't expect a parade in 1945. But this, finally, was my parade." As Mom and Dad slowed a few years ago, they moved to Sunrise Assisted Living, and we thank our Sunrise family for all of their love and professional support of Mom and Dad's health, happiness, safety, and comfort in their new home. So today we say farewell to our father, our dad, our Zadie, our hero, only gone from our sight, never from our minds, memories, and hearts, another turn of a generation, Lador Vador, part of our greatest generation. A generation toughened growing up in the Depression, a generation applying that toughness in literally saving Western civilization in World War II. A generation defining the word sacrifice, putting their lives on the line for generations yet unborn, most of his honoring him today. He will forever remain vivid in our memory, young, talented, intelligent, strong, brave, loving, and beloved son, brother, husband, father, and Zadie, cousin, uncle, friend, always there for us, a man of humble origin who could not possibly have lived a fuller, more complete life. And we are all enriched in having him. Inseparably married 69 years, now reunited forever in love. Mom and Dad, Bubby and Zadie, Margie and Lenny, in eternal passionate embrace and partnership, whistling together forever in perfect harmony, holding hands and both knowing they will long be remembered, loved, and missed, having bequeathed to today's generations and others yet unborn the family ideal of unconditional love forever. For those of us who remain and mourn, we recall familiar opening verses from Ecclesiastes, knowing that there is always a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to laugh, and a time to weep, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And Dad, as you embrace your life, love, and partner once again in heaven forever. You now know for sure Mom never really left. And you and she are eternal in our loving memory of you both. Amen. Thank you.
I want to thank Mark for his beautiful words of tribute in memory of such a great man. The Torah states in Exodus, "This is my God, and I will glorify him." Rabbi Ishmael, one of our sages, asked, "Is it possible for a human being to add glory to God, to the creator of the universe?" And he and other voices in the Talmud answer this fine question. What this really means is, I shall glorify him in the way I perform the mitzvot. I shall prepare before God a beautiful lulav, a beautiful sukkah, beautiful tzitzit, beautiful tefillin, a beautiful shofar, and a beautiful Torah scroll, which has been written by a skilled scribe with fine ink and a fine pen. It is as if our tradition, in those words of wisdom, we're speaking about Len, who made it his legacy that with the stroke of his pen, or his pencil, or his marker, or his brush, he was able to beautify our mitzvot and enhance our tradition for the benefit of our entire community during his lifetime, and as you can see, some of his legacy well beyond his lifetime. The ancient rabbinic midrash further suggests that not only are the mitzvot enhanced by beautiful art, but so is the very Jew who observes it. As it states in Song of Songs, "You are beautiful, my love. You are beautiful through the beautiful mitzvot." Len was indeed a beautiful man, made even more beautiful by the way he enhanced the mitzvot for others, through his art, yes, but also through his kindness, through his caring, through his wit, through his wisdom, and most of all for the people here, through his love. It is now my sad honor to extend my condolences and those of the North Suburban Synagogue community to Len's entire family, to his loving children, to Mark and Jackie, to Holly and Mark, to Andrew and Linda, and to Bess, Joe, and Rick, to his adored grandchildren, Arona and Jay, Nathan and Olivia, Jessica and Andrew, Carly, Amy, Zach, and Alec, as well as to his cherished great-grandchildren, Isidore, Sophia, and Yarrow, to his beloved sister, Lita, and to all of his family and friends who he cared about so deeply, whether they're here in person, whether they're here over live stream, or whether they're here in spirit. My prayer for you is that the words we speak, the traditions of our people, and the presence of God all provide you some comfort at a difficult time in your lives. Mark gave a very moving history of his father. Strong family ties, service to our country, incredible artistic talents, athletic, a dedicated Jew, a devoted father, and from my eyes and from your stories, a truly love-struck husband. In a wonderful meeting with his children over Zoom yesterday, although most of you know my personality, I so wish it was in person and I could have given you hugs, I got to see all of these characteristics and more come to life. And I could hear in the stories and see in the faces of the children the profound influence he had on their lives. For example, each of them in their own way described the pride they had in a father who was such a talented artist. Holly recalled how she used to hide behind the easels during the art fairs so she could listen to the wonderful things the attendees would say about her father's art. And Andy shared the pride he had when he took a picture in front of a collection of Len's art, knowing all of those were his father's creations. And then traveling with Len, as Mark alluded to the foundry as the massive and beautiful arch doors in Bethel's Field Family Sanctuary were being finished and shipped so that that sanctuary could be ready for his own bar mitzvah. And Holly further shared that every time she went into that sanctuary, it was so special because she knew he designed so much of it. And you heard Mark's pride in the beautiful Parsha scroll that he calligraphied that stands outside the entrance to the sanctuary. But even beyond the art, Len was a person filled with life and love. His beshert, his beloved, was always Margie. And of course, the kids all shared how strong and unbreakable that love truly was. They spoke of their warm embraces, the fun they had together putting on shows and getting ready to go out, so meticulous with their clothes and their preparations, and the way they glided along the dance floor at the many dinner dances they attended. Their affection and love was one for the storybooks. And that love certainly extended to the kids. Although strict at times and with high expectations, his devotion to his children and his love of them was absolutely constant. As a rabbi, you should know, he spoke to me of you and your children quite often, and with great pride, of course, as did Margie. And he was never happier than being seen as the patriarch of such a big, wonderful family that he and Margie had created. When I visited their home, pictures everywhere of you guys. All he wanted to do was be near you. He always had a twinkle in his eye when speaking about family, a twinkle I loved. And it was his kids that often brought out his witty, silly, mischievous side and his fun side. Holly recalled a sweet moment connecting to him. Each Sunday, the two of them would pull out the Sun Times and play the game of 7 differences, which were 2 pictures that looked identical except for 7 details. To her delight, they would race to see who could do it first. Andy shared the one time he desired to enter the soapbox derby, but it was $35 to get a kit. Len told Andy Shorty was in town, which I learned meant he didn't want to spend the money. So Andy went to Fells and proposed that Fells put the kit fee up in exchange for advertising rights on the side of the car. Boy, was Len surprised, but I imagine impressed, when Andy came back with the money and proceeded to spend hours with him guiding and advising the construction. He did it 3 years in a row, and Andy cherished those moments with his dad. Best Joe shared a fun one that I hope you don't mind me sharing now, that after their first meal with their parents, if I'm getting this right, after getting engaged to Rick, Len gave a little mischievous look at Rick and Best Joe and proceeded to belch loudly, clearly trying to impress and amuse his new future son-in-law, only to be both dismayed and impressed when Rick belched back even louder. Margie, I'm sure, was not impressed at all. He also had many witticisms and funny lines. The kids told me he used to say something like, "Hey, I asked the Bing and the Google questions and got answers, but I never got a bill." I myself saw that mischievous smile, heard countless jokes, and enjoyed his easy laugh many times. I think we will all miss it very much. He also deeply loved his grandchildren and was delighted to have great-grandchildren as well. His pride in all of you was enormous, and he was sustained by your love too. He was so touched that Yarrow's naming was held at his residence so he could attend, and it was meaningful for the family to celebrate that moment with him. Len also welcomed his children's spouses and was proud to have them as part of the family. Best Joe shared that he had had a huge influence on her own husband, Rick, who deeply respected and loved Len dearly, as I'm sure all of those who married into the family did. He was talented, he was witty, he was classy, he was caring, he was the type of man that you did respect and love. He was a man of deep integrity whose word was truly his bond and who always tried to do things the right way, with righteousness. He devoted himself to his country. He devoted himself to his community at Bethel, which was he and Margie's second home. I will say definitively that our history as a community at Bethel would not have been the same without either of them. He was athletic, he was competitive, he was driven, he was a great success as an art director and ad exec, and he was playing tennis against guys 20 years younger than him, well into his 80s. Now that's a resume. Speaking of which, I have my own memories of Len, though most involve Margie too. They were the first two faces I saw when Erica and I came for our first visit to Highland Park to check Bethel out to see if we wanted to land there. I have to admit, Erica and I were a little surprised when we landed and came out to find that our drivers were two seniors. Len had just turned 80. Was it safe to get in the car? That's honestly what we felt. But Bethel couldn't have picked better ambassadors, and we honestly couldn't have found better friends. They were kind, they were funny, they were welcoming, and they were doing their job. They were informative, telling us all about Bethel and Highland Park. I have to tell you, the love between them was palpable and apparent, even in that car ride. And once we moved permanently to Highland Park, they immediately treated us as friends, not just as the rabbi and his wife. They asked us to go out to dinner on many more than one occasion, always including their dear widowed friend, Thelma Klein, and always giving us gifts on our birthdays. Indeed, I haven't shared this with the family, but I still have the sweater they gave me on my 30th birthday, which, just for the record, was almost 15 years ago, in case you were wondering. But it's too worn to wear, but I can't bear to throw it out, and so it still sits on my shelf. I have to say that as I grew to know Len more, there were so many striking similarities between he and my own Zadie, who died when I was 14, that another layer of affection for him grew inside of me. Len was almost exactly the same age as my Zadie would have been. They both served in World War II in New Guinea. They both married young and had 4 kids. They both were witty, easy to laugh, to smile, tell stories. And while my Zadie did not grow up in Albany Park or go to Von Steuben, my Bubby, his wife, did. It was so comforting to have adopted grandparents living in a new city away from my own parents and grandparents. Bottom line, Len was an amazing man. He and Margie had a beautiful relationship, and they created a wonderful family. He leaves a legacy of art, dedication to Judaism, menschlichkeit, laughter, and most of all, love. Yehi zichro baruch. May his memory always be for a blessing. Amen. As the family knows, I reached out to both Rabbis Kurtz and Lebo, whom I know he had a wonderful relationship with as well. And to my delight, they sent some words as too, and I'd like to read them to you. Some words from Rabbi Kurtz, my predecessor. A piece of the history of North Suburban Synagogue Bethel has left us with the passing of Leonard Birnbaum. Leonard was involved in so many Bethel activities over the many years that he and Marge were members that they were too numerous to count. He was the graphic artist and calligrapher in residence. We see his handiwork every time we walk into the Field Family Sanctuary, as we look at the Torah that is there carrying the names of those who Leonard lovingly inscribed therein. We see it in many of the graphic designs used by Bethel over the many years. Each was crafted individually with love and care by Len. He was one of the historians of the congregation. These are only some of the examples of his handiwork. As one of the youngest of the group of the Chever Pokerim, Len was a bridge for some of the founders of the synagogue to the present generation of leaders. He was respected by all generations for his kindness, his humility, his great sense of humor, his love of Jewish life, and his devotion to the synagogue. He deserved to be a trustee of the synagogue, and he and Margie deserved to be honored by Bethel for their many years of service to the community, which they were. From the moment that Bryna and I arrived in Highland Park, we felt an affinity to the Birnbaums. Though they were old enough to be our parents, they welcomed us with open arms, opened up their home to us, were prepared to be our guides in the community, and were always ready to help meet any challenge that might come my way. Len was always ready with advice, but he let me make my own decisions. He was respectful and helpful during my entire tenure at the synagogue. I know of no one in the entire congregation who did not love and respect Len and Margie. They always had a smile on their faces, a warm hug, and a kind word to share with everyone. I look forward for many years to the coming to shul every Shabbat. Even after Margie passed away, as difficult as it was, Len continued to come on Shabbat until it was impossible to do so. On a personal level, both of them were like grandparents to Hadassah and Shira. Len designed the Benot Mitzvah invitations of our girls, and Margie ordered them. They felt at their successes, they were proud of them. We celebrated their special anniversaries with them and the family. We were witnesses to the great love and respect that Len showed his mother, Josephine. It is no wonder his children and grandchildren treated him so well. They learned from their father. Bryna recalls that we invited Len and Margie for a Shabbat dinner at our home. Len apologized but felt he had to decline, as his mother always joined them for Friday night dinner. We, of course, asked him to bring her along, and it was wonderful to have so many generations together for Shabbos dinner. My life is richer for having known Leonard Birnbaum. North Suburban Synagogue Bethel is fortunate to have had him as a devoted congregant and trustee. The family is lucky to have had him as a patriarch of the family for so many years, and we will all miss him. May his memory always be for a blessing. May the family be comforted among the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And now some words from Rabbi Bill LeBeau, senior rabbi of Bethel before Rabbi Kurtz. It was with the greatest sadness that Bev and I learned of Len's death. We join with the Bethel community and all who mourn for his loss in extending our sincerest condolences to the beautiful Birnbaum family. We and our children were beneficiaries of Len's care and warmth, but it is impossible for us to think of Len or to express our great affection for him without thinking of Marge and the incredibly beautiful, loving partnership they shared. The power of the good that they did together, supporting their family and loved ones, building the sacred community of their cherished North Suburban Synagogue Bethel, and extending their extraordinary capacity for kindness to so many, will continue to be experienced by all who are privileged to know them. Together, Marge and Len gave their fullest meaning to the eloquent teaching in the book of Ecclesiastes. Two together are better than one alone, for there is great reward for the work they accomplished together. Len and Marge worked together and celebrated together, and they created a vision for their lives together. Above all, they treasured the beautiful family they created and extends on into the generation of their grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They received their greatest reward, finding joy and fulfillment together. Len and Marge were not just a couple. Each was recognized for the unique qualities that endeared them to so many. Upon receiving news of Len's death, I recalled the many interactions that I had with him. I remember his kindness, integrity, compassion, and capacity for leadership. Len embraced the mission of Bethel, especially the importance of making the synagogue a source for personal support in times of adversity, and a place that would enhance the celebration of congregants in joyous times of life. On a more personal note, I still remember the wonderful constructive criticism and encouragement he offered me, always with gentility and reassurance. So often, he helped me meet challenges I encountered, and always helped me appreciate the possibilities for satisfaction in my own work. For me, Len's life is summarized in the teaching of Rabbi Meir in Pirkei Avot. Rabbi Meir taught, "Do not seek greatness for yourself. Do not covet honor. Actions are even more important than study. And do not desire the tables of kings, since your table is greater than their tables. Your crown is greater than their crowns, and your employer is trustworthy to pay you the wages of your labor." Throughout my long friendship with Len, I never knew him to seek greatness or recognition for himself. He always chose to invest his energies in family, friendships, and in fulfillment of the causes he thought would be of help to others. He did not envy the tables of anyone else. His own life and his own table were his reward. His wages for his labor will certainly be paid by God, his employer, as he enters into his eternal rest. His place in the world will be assured through the memories he has created. I hope that those memories will be a source of comfort and inspiration to his family and to all of us who knew and loved him. Yeh Zichro Baruch, may his memory always be for a blessing, as he was a blessing to those he shared in life. Amen. We're now going to lower the casket, and the Chazan will chant Psalm 121.
מזמור לדוד. אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ. אל ייתן למוט רגליך, אל ינום שומרך. הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור את צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם.
Song for Ascents. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your protection, a guardian at your right hands. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm and guard your life. God guards your going and your coming, now and forever. Al Mikomo, Yavo Shalom. May Leonard Birnbaum go unto God in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Already Israeli earth inside the casket. This represents Len's eternal connection to both the people of Israel and the land of Israel. The call cover is put into place. The Kazan will recite Siddur Kadin, one of the prayers that we recite at the graveside, proclaiming God as a righteous judge.
אסור תמים קולות, כל דרכיו משפט, אל אמונה ונעבר צדיק וישר הוא. אסור תמים בכל הפועל, מי יאמר לו מה תפעל. השליט במחר ומעל, ממית וחיה, מוריד שאול ויעל. אסור תמים בכל מעשה, מי יאמר לו מה תעשה. האומר ועושה, חסד חינם לנו תעשה, ובזכות הנקת כסה, השיבה ועשה. צדיק בכל דרכיו, עצור תמים, ערך אפיים ומלא רחמים, חמונה וחוסנה לעבוד בנים, כי לך אדון הסליחות והרחמים. צדיק אתה אדוני להמית ולהחיות, אשר בידך פקדון כל רוחות, חלילה לך זיכרוננו למחות, ויהיו עיניך ברחמים עלינו פקוחות, כי לך אדון הרחמים והסליחות. אדם אם בן שנה יהיה, או 1000 שנים יחיה, מה יתרון לו כלא היה יהיה. ברוך דיין האמת, ממית ומחיה. ברוך אדוני, ברוך הוא כי האמת דינו, ומשוטט הכל בינו. שלם לידם חשבונו בדינו, והכל ישמו הודיה ייתנו. ידענו אדוני כי צדק משפטך, תצדק בדוברך ותזכה בשופטיך, ואין להרהר אחר מידת שופטיך. צדיק אתה אדוני וישר משפטך. דיין אמת, שופט צדק ואמת, ברוך דיין האמת, שכל משפטיו צדק ואמת. נפש כל חי בידיך, צדק מלא ימינך, רחם על פליטת צאן ידיך, ותאמר למלאך חרף ידיך. גדול העצה ורב העלייה, אשר עיניך פקוחות על כל דרכי בני אדם, לתת לאיש כדרכיו וכפרי מעלליו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו. אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך, ויורחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו.
Atzur Tamim, the perfect rock, whose work we perceive reveals. A faithful God, true, upright, and honest. The rock is perfect. Dare we ask God to account for any deed. God who rules below and on high, yes, causing death, but also giving life. Bring us down to the grave, but raising us up as well. Adonai Natan, the Lord has given. Adonai Lakach, and sadly today the Lord has taken. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach, praise be the name of God. Vayashov hefar al aretz kashaya, v'aruach tashuv el Elohim asher natanan. The dust indeed returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May Leonard Birnbaum's soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal. Send comfort, God, to those who mourn today. Grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. And let us say, Amen. The Chazan will now recite the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim, sanctifying Leonard's name.
El Malei Rachamim, shochein b'meromim, hamtzei menucha nechona, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת אליעזר בן יוסף, שהלך לעולמו, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו. הרחמים, הסתירהו בסדר כנפיך לאוהל העמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Eliezer ben Yosef, to Leonard Birnbaum, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Before the burial, we'll now recite the mourner's Kaddish. I believe it's in the pamphlets that you have. And you can recite it along with me. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei. Bechaye echon uvyom echon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lalmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the memory of Leonard Birnbaum always be for a blessing.
Wish to thank Rabbi Michael Schwab and Hazan Benjamin Tisser for performing the service. There were 63 people at some points logged into our service, and that's probably times 2 or 3. So there was quite a group of people that were here for your dad. It was quite an honor. This concludes the services here at Shalom. Go ahead. Yep. Okay. We'll proceed with the burial.
Jeff being